So being a child from, I was a child prostitute. My mom would offer me to my pimp as his daughter, and I was to call him daddy, and, I'm to honor him while he's beating her, and he's, abusing her, and I could control him by whether or not I would enjoy the acts that I was involved in. So I would still perform the acts because I didn't have a choice, but if I acted like I enjoyed it, then I was able to barter that with him treating my mother better. But to my mother, I was disgusting. To my mother, me asking for help and knowing how to perform oral sex on another female as a 5-year-old was just, so gross. But why never question how I know these things? I'm 5. So it was always there with my mom. So I was always able to see that. I was always able to cut her off and be like, you're not being my mom right now. You're being a mean female, even though I'm trying to protect you by keeping him off of you. And I remember the day that they decided, my friend and I had bonded so well, and they had, I'm telepathic, and they had understood that we were communicating nonverbally, and they had come to the conclusion that we needed to be separated. And when the day of her first communion, that was the last time I saw her, she's dressed in white, tells me she's married to Jesus, she dies that night. She was ejected from a vehicle, and her head was crushed by a semi-truck. So she was wearing her dress still, and she was still, her books were there, and it hasn't been until just a few months ago that I can actually look at her picture. It hasn't been until a few months ago that I actually mourned her loss, because I was lied to. I was told that she didn't die for 2 weeks, even though I had seen her. She came to me the night she died. So all of these near-death experiences that I've had throughout my life have always kept me right on that, like I was telling you earlier, Samuel, right between the here and now of our physical existence and the here and now of the other dimension that exists with us, that is non-physical but actually more real than this one. So that's how I understand the male-female energy. I've always kind of had that understanding of, I can't tell you this because that'll elicit this response, and I don't want that response. And so love has, until recently, has always been something that I have shielded from.
Telling me is that you're not allowing someone to love you?
Yes, not allowing a fullness of their love. So if somebody got too close, if I felt too vulnerable, if I felt like unknown territory, then I pushed them away, or I would run. I wouldn't permit any kind of, I would shut them down entirely. And if I had to change my number, if I had to move out of the country, if I had to, whatever it was, the one being that I had allowed to love me was my friend, and her name was Christina. And she was about 1.5 years to 2 years older than I was. And she was, her and I performed together for these months, and she would perform on me. And the way that we were able to live through that situation was, focus on my eye. Focus on, or do you remember that game we were playing? So she actually took a horrible situation, which was being a child prostitute, and turned it into something that was bearable because of her presence there. So it got to the point where if she wasn't there, I didn't want to perform. I was like, no, not going to do it. I don't care. Well, I'm going to beat your mom. Well, go ahead. I don't care. Go ahead. She doesn't care about me. I mean, if you're going to beat her, you're going to beat her, And as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, it just kind of made sense to be that way. I couldn't stop him from beating my mom. It could make it easier on him. And the more he realized that Christina and I had this tighter bond, Christina's brother was also involved, and her father. So the more that they realized that we were so connected, the more that they wanted to separate us, because then suddenly we had the upper hand. We were in control and not them, and that's what it was about. That was about control.
You have a voice. The group that I am a part of, called Heartfire, just this past lodge dealt with this subject, and we were in the lodge for 2.5 hours, and I agreed in that time to do the same thing I agreed to do today, just hold the zone, hold the space, so that message could come out. And it was so powerful. When I got out of the lodge, I didn't have any energy in my body left. I was exhausted. It's been just heightened awareness. And here you show up and you have a story that demonstrates that this is the number one problem on this planet. Yeah, that any sentient being has power over another for any reason. And that part is capable of being healed. We can hold the space where healing will happen. And it will go backwards in time and forwards in time, because where we're operating from now doesn't have any time. You and I have stepped out for the moment into the no time so that we can create that in the astral realms and bring it back in. So since you know how to navigate as well as you do, you too, Susan, we can do this together. We can bring this into physicality and allow divine to distribute it to whoever needs the message. Does that work for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to go as far as possible. I pray for the children of India and Africa and Mexico and here, I mean, Japan, you know, it's so vast what I'm saying. I'm so not unique. I wish I were. I wish my story was unusual, and I wish it was one of a kind. In truth, and let's just keep it real, please, I'm just a voice, because there have been so many that haven't spoken, including my mother.
You and I know for sure that you're giving yourself away just like you know you do. If you don't give to yourself first, my dear friend, you have nothing to give.
Right.
Give to yourself first. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate to yourself. You hold huge compassion. But turn that onto yourself. Because when you do, you illuminate the spirit that you are, and all will see you. They'll be drawn to you. You don't need a PR agent.
You're cute. And this is, I think, where Susan's strength comes in, because that is my weakness, Susan, female to female energy here. Samuel is wonderful at being in tune, and I thank you for being here. I need you as my spine, in a sense, because this is my vulnerability. I can self-abuse like nobody's business. And I actually, I was into mutilation. I have a scar across my body where, as a 5-year-old, I began trying to cut off my vagina. I have suicide scars that are covered over with tattoos. I've also have numerous overdose attempts. I've been institutionalized. So suicide has, in my psyche, always been glorified. And because of all the near-death experiences that I've had, especially as a child, I have, straddling both dimensions, or actually there are more than two, as you guys know, but straddling the multidimensional realms and being able to project into them freely and willingly and joyfully, that I have not been able to be enamored with this time-space reality, this one that we share.
And that's a similar perception you and I share. We chose to embody here, to be present now. Your uniqueness comes from your voice, your perception, your ability to speak, where those that cannot won't be heard. You are that uniqueness for them. You're going out global, galactic, today and every day. Your presence is very appreciated and
loved.
Yes, absolutely. Loved in every way. We share much similarities. I didn't want the ability to engage or interact with females on any level. My whole life here, I had one female friend from the time I was 17. That was it. did not trust them, didn't want to be with them, didn't want to know them, not even give them the time of day. And it's just recently in the last 2 years that I've actually learned how to open that back up. And it's a blessing.
It really is.
It really is. And, and it's a blessing for you to experience the way you have, because you would not be at the point that you are now of your consciousness, of the collective consciousness of Source, to understand how to navigate this way through those experiences. So the expression that you bring, the realizations that you've had, the personal epiphanies, the conscious awareness of your soul on this path at this point is just a miraculous gift to the collective. You mentioned, how do we help? And I went through a short time last year or 2 years ago where I thought, okay, well, let me reach as far as I can across the globe. That's the way I need to help. I hold light bridges in every country you can name. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to be a conduit and an open channel for everyone's energy signature where they can come and ground or dock. I can heal them. I can take them into light chambers. And now I'm really understanding a little bit more in my experience that we need to reach out to the ones that are closest to our energy signature, our energy field. Even though we're all quantum entanglements, we are all dimensionally connected in every way. There is no distance. By your same energy field, I mean your bloodline, the ones that you interacted or interact with on a daily basis in front of you, physically. I think it's so vital to tend to those energies first and to start learning how to share our skills and gifts with that group of beings. Not only is it healing paradigms, timelines in our own energetic cycles, but through all the paradigms that we've been connected to them through, does it heal at the same point as well. And I think to incorporate that on a global level or a collective level would be to bring it to the smaller area that we are surrounded by first. Or as we do that, it's actually opening space for others to take cue, to stand up, to come in to that energy field.
It's counterintuitive. So when as I continued to release Hannah, who is my soulmate, we've had the chance to live together for the past 3 years, and I can tell you in this physical dimension, I have never laughed and loved so fully ever in my life. And she's going on a different path. But she's taking the dream that we've co-created together out into the collective so that we are to live the new dream, a dream of a new earth, a place where we can be open and loving and honoring other sentient beings as they have the right to come and go from our life. Will we always be connected? You know what? I've learned to connect with anybody that wants to seek my energy field. Susan taught me. And now she's trying to organize me well enough so I can tell her what's going on all the time, and I'm not learning all the tools yet, but I'm getting there. And to have sentient beings in this realm that see me and work with me to help me open to the fullest potential that I have, Sarah, thanks for your help, honey. There are many opportunities for us to reach out and open ourselves and find out that there are beings in this realm that, just like a guardian angel, are sitting there waiting for us to show up in that vibrational range so that we can speak into their lives. Because, in fact, that's what we are. We've come here as creator gods to experience our own creation. We created distortions, and now we get to live the distortions. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Very much.
I absolutely created the distortion that I lived. I take full responsibility and accountability and even credit for it.
Right?
So
this is my work.
I am the bitch that did that.
Right? Hey, that's me, honey.
My weakness, or not, I don't know if weakness is really a good word, but my lack of ability, because I have my disassociation is so strong, that tendency is so strong, in my ability to listen objectively and sift everything that I need and that is good out of situations has also a flip side, so to speak, where only a certain percentage of it is permitted to be internalized to the deepest being of myself. So it's easier for me to reflect and stay behind, like as if I'm holding a mirror up for others to see themselves, that I'm behind that mirror. I had an experience with a dragonfly when I was in Hawaii, and when I was in Hawaii, it was the loneliest I've ever been, and the most beautiful connection I've ever had. And I didn't fit with the family that I was there with. And so I was moving vehicles for a big party that we were having, and I had parked this car, and I had just gotten out of the car, and a dragonfly literally was nose to nose to me, so much so that I stopped, and I was trying to breathe very lightly. So this dragonfly and I are looking into each other's souls. I wanted to know what the dragonfly saw, because what I saw was the iridescent wings, these beautiful eyes, this body that could elevate itself and travel and have this entire universal experience absolutely separate from my own, and yet we were coexisting. And so I tried to see myself as this fearless dragonfly was seeing me. You know, what must I have looked like to it? You know, just this giant of a being, enamored and in awe of it, you know. And so and what that experience could have, like the dual experience that we shared. I do a lot of astral projecting in my sleep. Actually, I rarely ever stay in my body. And so I do a lot of flying. There's a lot of traveling, a lot of flying, and I only see through my eyes, so I have not permitted the disassociation to become an association of the self, of a fullness of love. Because of the disassociation, I only experience what I see from the inside out, not from the outside in. So it's that lack of it's the objectivity that's, you know, and that's where I become insensitive to others. That's where, you know, my ghetto-ness comes out. I call it, you know, I'm from the hood, you know, and I can throw down with the best of them. And I can, and I understand the criminal culture really well. I understand the loyalties that we have within the criminal culture. I come from a family that, and from friends, from an area that you bury the body first and you ask questions later. Now, I've never actually buried a body, so guys, don't be scared about that. But that is our mentality as far as like who you trust. You know, authorities aren't to be trusted. Everything that happened in Ferguson was where I grew up. In our home we had somebody running through our house, and a government agent running after them and literally beat them in our front yard. And my stepfather, who is a very good man, holding me back. And I was about 14 or 15, holding me back because I want to go beat up the government agent who's beating up this guy on the floor. That I don't know him either, you know, but the one on the floor was my people. He looked like us, and the guy beating him didn't. That's just naturally where I was going to side. And plus, the guy on the floor wasn't hitting the government agent back. He was just running, you know. So when he got down, then the government agent was like, oh, now I'm going to beat you because you made me chase you. And I got tired. And now I'm angry. And now it's my ego because, you know, I'm an authority and you're not. Mm-hmm. So I'm exercising my authority over you. And again, like I was telling Samuel earlier, I come from a long line of natives of this land. We aren't the immigrants that we're being called. Exactly. We're not the minority that we're being treated as. And so I've always understood that because I know who I am and I know who my people are. I know where my bloodline comes from. So I never fed into that BS that was being thrown at me. So I would be like, no, that's not true. Because my grandma, my grandpa, my biological father, his father, I didn't have that chip on my shoulder that I had immigrated here from Guatemala or Salvador or any part of Mexico. I am Mexican, but I was born here from a long line of people that were born here. Do you know what I mean? So it was just like, excuse me. And I also have Native American Indian. Yeah, so it was just, I didn't feel like I didn't belong. I felt like it was injustice. Like what made them think that they could do this. And so because I am born here and I do assimilate the culture that is our melting pot of this beautiful country that we are part of, I could also identify with the guy holding the power over the one that was on the floor. So it was like identifying the Jewish in Hitler. So I could straddle that as well. Samuel has a beautiful way of loving within himself and of himself and for himself. And my initial response is, I want to go to rage. I want to go to anger. I want to go to, one of the things that I said yesterday that I know was insensitive, and I didn't mean to hurt anybody, but I was being honest. Why did she get murdered and not me? My friend just committed suicide. He killed himself last Sunday, and they found his body on Thursday. His wife sent me a message at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, we just found him, and I know that he loved you immensely. He called me on Saturday, and I missed his call. Why was he successful and I've never been? It's kind of, his life was hard. He was battling a meth addiction. His mom had been murdered, and his dad had died of a heroin overdose, all before he was 10. So he had a life full of tragedy as well. It was, he and I always held each other, always pushed each other to keep going. You've got more, and you've got more strength, and I know you're messed up right now, but that's okay. You just hang on to me. I'll hang on to you. I don't care. I don't care that you're totally lost in your meth addiction. It doesn't matter to me. But then when, I didn't get that last phone call, then he was successful. And then I was like, that's not fair. That was so not fair. That was not even cool, not fair. You know what I mean? Why'd you go without me, man? Like, how come and it's like, who do you say? How come he can do it, not me? But it's not like I haven't tried. Mm-hmm. And that shows to me a systematic fallacy in my inner psyche still. The fact that I am wanting to lean towards the non-existent in this realm into the existence of what we know to be beautiful bliss. Where I get really stumbled is that I am a care provider for a 77-year-old man whose mother was the secretary to Dr. Richter. Dr. Richter is the inventor of the Richter scale that measures the movement of the earth. She was his lifelong secretary. Mm-hmm. She's still alive today. She's got a Richter scale, one of the first models, in her basement. And she's 100 years old. Now, I have her son, who's 77. And it is a long line of the Jim Crow mentality. Long line. If it ain't white, it ain't right. The only thing that would make the situation even more ideal for him is if I was African American, which I am. I consider myself African American, but I don't look like I'm a former slave. So if I could just bring it up a notch to be a nigger, the way he likes to describe them, he uses that word. If I could just go there, make myself look like Aunt Jemima, then this situation would be ideal because I cut his hair, I cut his nails, I used to feed him, like spoon feed him. I bathe him, I change his diapers, and I do this all for free. He does not pay me. Neither does anybody in his family. And I don't even get gratitude. Gratitude is like, I'd have to be white in order to really get gratitude. So I don't get anything at all. And his mom dedicated her entire life to her career, which meant that she ignored this child, him. So he's got something called failure to thrive. And and it's a disassociation from infancy as well. So he has no connectivity as far as like love. Like he doesn't know what it's like to be mothered. He doesn't know what it's now through his elderly situation. He's learning that with me, but I have had to go toe to toe with him. He try to spit his teeth out at me, and I've absolutely welcomed it. I have told him exactly how I feel about every racist person I've ever come across throughout history, throughout all my studies. I really let him have it. Like I was just like, oh, you're going to be a dick? I'm going to unleash. Here we go. Ready? You know? And I didn't hurt him, but definitely the vibration was there. The vibration of like that rage of just pulling into everything that hasn't ever been said to him. And so his humility has definitely increased, and his understanding that I'm the only real daughter he has. He's understanding that at a very humbling level, at a very, he knows that if I don't give him his vitamins, he doesn't get his vitamins. If I don't make his meals, he doesn't eat. If I don't go to a pantry and go get food from a food bank, he doesn't eat. So his daughter, who's got 3 jobs and just went to Spain and went to Puerto Rico and asked him for money for Thanksgiving dinner, does not bring him a meal at all. She's sitting there asking Daddy for more money, but she's not helping in any way, and he's not in a position at all to be helping his little girl, who he absolutely adores and thinks she's a little princess even now. For me, at times, I want to scream. I want a punching bag and put all their pictures on it and just let it all out. Like I want out of the situation, and I feel vibrationally like I claw my face out of rage because I can't unleash it on anybody else. So when you were saying to love those that are near me, that's my problem, is that those that are near me are the ones I despise the most.
You'll find that it is the most natural part of your divinity. You are sacred. You are precious. I honor the divine in you. And that man you take care of is one of your cells. He is a part of you on a cellular level. He is one of yourself.
Yes.
He is another expression of you.
He absolutely is, because I am so honored that I have the son that was neglected by a female who changed the world, and that I can serve the world by serving him. And that every time I walk into that basement, I tell myself, this is in my gratitude for what was given through the sacrifice that his mother made.
I was just going to say, unconditional love, to me, is the key. And it starts inside of you. And to forgive every space, every point, to accept, to embrace, to surrender to every choice, every action, every experience that you have had here has all been part of your soul path to bring you to this point of who you are. It's not been a bad choice. It's not been a mistake. It's not been a problem. It's not been a curse. It's been a blessing, a gift. And when you turn that on yourself fully, then you can turn it outward onto others that are truly yourself as well, and see that there's just been so much distortion through the dimensions. There's been so much that we have had to unveil and uncloak, that unconditional acceptance of whoever it is, of whatever they've done, of whatever they think. Once you find that space in you for them and bring them into that frequency with you, then it really allows them to learn how to vibrate at that frequency for themselves. Then it turns so that they can vibrate at that frequency with others. It's like a quantum domino effect. The ability to forgive everyone that's raped me, the ability to forgive everyone that's stolen from me, that's beaten me, that opens your soul, and it opens them at the same time. You talk about wanting to heal and really make a global impact. There's your impact. because it's on a quantum level that you will open them when you open yourself that way. And you're fully open in so many ways. You're beautiful. It's a chain reaction at a quantum level, a cellular level that happens when we do that. And no, it's not always easy. You know, there's been many experiences I've had where I get angry, I get rage, and my rage, like yours, is scary, very scary.
You said exactly what I needed to hear, because that was the biggest question that I've been asking the universe. Is, where did I go wrong? Why am I in this situation? And how the fuck do I get out? Because I hate it. I hate. Yeah, it is it. It wasn't a mistake.
That's it right there. You're not. That's never a mistake. There are no mistakes here. None. Not one. And it's up to each individual one of us to. You're very good at observing, to become the observer and not the participant in your life. Bring that to all levels. Open yourself fully, unconditionally, in every way. And see that in everyone. My situation now here is that I am on disability. I allowed everything that had happened in my life to put me down in the bed for 3 years. Created illnesses. I manifested illnesses in my body that kept me from walking, that kept me from being able to use the bathroom by myself, that left me homeless with no food, no way to work, no way to drive, nothing. And now I have completely gotten off of all medications that the doctors had put me on, that I had accepted. I disowned everything I had manifested and have begun the last part of my journey in this cycle. And so I am barely and sometimes not getting by through the month with enough food, no transportation. But I'm learning to, like you, have a voice, to know that I am worthy, that we deserve a fair energy exchange here, regardless of what that energy exchange needs to look like, and that we are divine expressions and we are worthy of calling forth that energy exchange of saying, okay, I can help you with this, or I offer this, and what can you offer in return?
Susan?
Samuel?
I'm absolutely convinced that our guardian angels, that are the higher expressions of ourself, that are part of this liberation operation, that are not visible at the moment, that are right here with us, are hearing our thoughts and our intentions right now. They know what we need. And we can, in this time of no space, mechanic that here now too, and hold the energy to have that manifest however it does. Because when people's hearts are moved and they understand that the world is changing to a heart-centered planet, then they will be compelled to offer fair exchange. Does that make sense?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Everything, those scars you spoke about, Noe, release them. Look at each one. Forgive them. Embrace them. See their beauty. Realize that the vessel that you are in right now is the one that you chose at soul level to embody your soul, and it is beautiful. Everything within you is beautiful and very purposefully driven. You are a divine warrior. I see you. I embrace you. I accept you without judgment, without attachment or expectation to any particular outcome. And I love you. And I'm very blessed for your presence here now.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel the same. It was, Samuel's been talking about you, and but I get it now. I get it for myself. I get it for myself, which is what I needed. My son, just as a little additive, I know we need to hang up, but his last name is Zarza, which is the eternal flame that Moses receives a message from God in the Bible. And lately, just even this weekend, I was struggling with like, he's severely autistic, and I was struggling with his autism and feeling like he was the anchor that was keeping me in this really unwanted, undesirable situation because of his benefit. And I was obviously, as a mother, feeling guilty over that and feeling just unlovable towards myself, because how can I feel that way towards this perfect being that has done nothing but just loved everything in his existence? And that was kind of the reoccurring theme, like, where did I go wrong? Where did I make such a horrible mistake that I can go to such a dark place? Even if it's just me, just in my own meditation and my own truth, even if I'm not responding to it outwardly too much, it's always underlying. It's always there. It always somehow seeps through when we're honest with ourselves. And your words today really, really had such a beautiful, wide array spectrum of love infusion and understanding of the unconditionalness that we have created this vessel that we call our life, in every aspect, in every respect.
Everywhere.
So thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.